Buongiorno! Today I'm gonna be doing my June wrap up. I didn't read too much in June. Okay, so I read 10 books. That's a lot. But like compared to April when I read 15 books, I guess it's significantly less. And one of them was a book for school and a couple of these were graphic novels and audiobooks. So June was not the best reading month, but I loved a lot of the books I read, so let's get started. The first book I read was Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey the Queenston. Oh my god, this book has been everywhere on Booktube, on Bookstagram. Everybody has been talking about this book. Everybody has been hyping this book out to the point where various retailers that sell books have sold out of this book. It's very hard to get this book now because so many people pre-ordered it and have bought copies to the point where there's various locations where if you try to buy it, it says no longer available. I think that shows the power of the book community, that we're so passionate and love our favorite books so much that we just hype them up and get everybody else excited about them to the point where we have sold out. We have made book retailers sell out of our favorite books. I loved this book so much. I listened to the audiobook. I really loved it. The main character, the audiobook narrator, did a British accent whenever he read Henry's dialogue, and he did like a regular accent when he would do Alex's dialogue, and I think he did a really good job. I really loved the audiobook. I love this book so much. It's totally worth the hype, and I'm so happy I read it. It's one of my favorite books now. So it's a royalty romance between Prince Henry of England and Alex, the first son of the First Lady of the United States. I love this book with all my heart. Alex and Henry are my two gay sons. There's nothing else I can say but just how much I love this book so much. And meant so much to me reading it, and the romance was adorable. I usually hate politics and I will just like avoid anything political like the plague because I don't care about politics. But anyways, the politics and like political campaign and whatnot was really interesting in this book. So basically Alex, he's the first son of the first woman president of the United States, which sadly is not a reality in America. Throughout this book, she's campaigning for re-election to be re-elected again as president. And Alex gets offered a job on the campaign. So we see a lot of the ins and outs of what happens behind the scenes at the White House and a lot of like campaigning stuff. And I thought I was gonna like hate all of those elements, but it was really interesting. I really loved reading about it. And this is told through Alex's point of view. So we mostly saw Alex's life, but I loved Henry. Oh, they're just so adorable. I really want this book to be turned into a movie. I feel like it would be such an amazing movie like Love, Simon. Please, I heard that this book got optioned and oh my god, please make it happen. I just can picture this being a movie. I love it. I love it so much, and it's totally worth all the hype. 5 out of 5 stars. All of the stars in the world. I love this book so much. Next, I listened to the audiobook of Again But Better by Christine Riccio. I mean, I don't need to tell you what this book is about, who this person is. If you're on Booktube, you know that Christine from Polar Bananas Books, this is her book. So I listened to the audiobook because when she made that video about the audiobook narrator and how she talked about how she chose the audiobook narrator and she like auditioned a bunch of people. So I know Christine listens to a million audiobooks, so I had really good faith in her for the audiobook. And I'm so happy I listened to the audiobook because the narrator's voice was so similar to Christine to the point where I felt like Christine was reading the story to me. Like, yeah, her voice was slightly different, but it was close enough to the point where I felt like Christine was reading the story to me, and the audiobook narrator did such a good job. This has been a hot topic on Booktube. Understandably, it's a booktuber's book, and I gotta say, I loved Again But Better. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I adored it. I could not put this book down. It was so addicting. Once I started listening to the audiobook, I literally wanted to drop everything and just listen to the audiobook. I loved it so much. Does it have flaws? Yes. Some of the writing is very amateurish. One of the writing rules that you learn in like 1st grade is to like not use said too much, because they encourage you to like use different words like exclaimed and shouted as in a way to introduce students to new words. But once you actually write a book, that rule goes away, because when the reader is reading the book, they're not going to pay attention to the she said, he said, I said, whatever, they're just gonna read the dialogue. In this book, there's so many different times where it was not said, it'd be like exclaimed, shouted, snorts. It just got so annoying sometimes because I'm like, can't you just write said? Just why are you using all of these extra words that are not necessary? And sometimes, oh my god, I feel like she used snort like too much. And I was like, stop. That was literally my only pet peeve. Like other than that, I really loved this book. There has been some discussion of this book dealing with cheating, and I don't think that's the case at all. And I can see so much potential in Christine. She definitely has a lot of room to grow in her writing, and I can tell that the next book she's gonna write is gonna be even more amazing. So I'm really excited to read whatever she writes next. The next 2 books I read, I filmed a reading vlog. It was the graphic novel of Jane Eyre, and I filmed a reading vlog for that, so I'll leave it up above where I talked about all of my thoughts. And then I read I Love You So Mochi by Sarah Koof on the plane over from America to Italy, and I also filmed a reading vlog for that and talked about all of my views on that book. So you can go watch that reading vlog too. I'll leave it up above. Next book I read was another webtoon, Cheese in the Trap. So this is a really popular webtoon on the webtoon app. It's originally Korean, hence the Korean symbols. This book, I have really mixed feelings about it. It's like in the beginning, I couldn't really read this book. The language was really awkward, so I don't know if it was a translation issue or what, but just the language was really weird and awkward, and the storyline was just so confusing. There'd be like so many alternating storylines all going on at once, and there's so many characters, and I would just get so confused. But I kept reading because, I don't know, I just wanted to finish season 1 so I could say that I read Cheese in the Trap, and also because they did do a K-drama about this, and I wanted to watch it. But the more I read, the better it got. I mean, I still wouldn't give this book 5 stars. It still wasn't the best webtoon I read, but it was definitely really entertaining. I can see why it's really popular on webtoon, and I will be continuing on season 2. I already started season 2 of Cheese in the Trap, and once I finish, at least I think season 3, I'm gonna start watching the K-drama. I believe the webtoon has ended in Korea, but the author is still working on the end of the English translation, so it's definitely like ongoing technically. The Witchathon happened. I read Summer of Salt by Katrina Leno, which was the group book. I've heard really great things about this book, like everywhere. Has a female romance, and it has like witchy vibes and so many things. I did write a full-length review about this book, so I'll leave it down below. But basically, I did really love this book, but there are some elements of this book that were really distressing. I expected this to be just like a happy, cute, queer romance, but instead there's like a murder that happens, and like so many like really dark scenes in this book that I did not expect. So because of that, I had to dock 1 star. Those scenes were really distressing. And also I just wanted more from this book. Like I loved the atmosphere of this like small town by the sea where everybody knows each other, and then there's this family that everybody like thinks are witches and are magical, but nobody knows for sure. Like I really loved it, but I really wanted more. Like I wanted more of the female romance. I wanted more of the atmosphere and less of the distressing, dark elements. Other than that, I did really love this book, and I'll leave my review down below if you want to know more of my thoughts. The last book I read in June was Blackbird by Sam Humphries and Jen Bartlett. Oh my god, I didn't even know that this book was being made. It's a graphic novel, and I've been following Jen Bartlett forever on social media. I love her artwork. I have so much of it saved. I love her artwork so much. I didn't even know that she was partnering up with a guy to make a graphic novel. It just showed up on Hoopla one day, and I was like, oh my god, what is this book? I need to read it like now. Went in blind, honestly, and I loved it so much. An urban fantasy book, and it definitely has some of the urban fantasy tropes that you will see in a lot of urban fantasy books. I still really love this. The artwork was absolutely like breathtaking. Like, oh my god, I had to stop various times throughout this graphic novel, stare at the art in awe because it was so beautiful, so detailed, so colorful. I loved it. The urban fantasy element and the magical element were really unique, and I've never read anything like this world before. This book completely blew me away. By far one of the best graphic novels I ever read, and I was taken by surprise completely. This is definitely a graphic novel you want to check out. Those are all the books I read in June. I had a pretty great reading month. I read some pretty awesome books. Definitely didn't read as much as I wanted to, and there was a lot of books on my TBR that I didn't get to. I'm really excited for July, and I'm definitely going to be reading a lot of those books that I didn't get to in June. Comment down below if you've read any of these books, your thoughts on them. My social media links are all down below. My Twitter, my Bookstagram, my Goodreads. Arrivederci!